In the beginning, the mind was boundless, a wellspring of fire and thought, a force capable of dreaming, building, and transcending the mundane. But as the wheel of time turns, the tides of history whisper a darker tale, a slow and silent erosion, the death of the mind. It does not happen in fire or chaos. It does not arrive with chains or swords. No, the death of the mind is subtle. It is gentle. It lulls its victim to sleep. And by the time the final breath of thought is exhaled, there is no struggle, only silence. This is not just history. This is the present. This is now. Chapter 1. The Rise of the Mind. There was an era when the mind was an instrument of wonder. It sought to know, to unravel mysteries hidden in the fabric of existence. It gave birth to art, philosophy, science, and spirit. The mind questioned. It searched. It dreamed of the infinite. From Socrates to Da Vinci, from Newton to Jung, the mind carved paths where none existed. It defied kings and gods, wielding knowledge as a weapon against tyranny. But with each age of enlightenment, a shadow followed. For every fire of wisdom, there was always a flood threatening to extinguish it. But what made these minds so powerful? It was not merely intelligence. It was not simply knowledge. It was the willingness to think beyond the present, to doubt, to wonder, to suffer for the pursuit of truth. These were not men of comfort. They were not men who sought ease or safety. They were men of struggle, and through struggle, they sharpened the weapon that is thought. Chapter 2. The shackles of modernity. The chains of old were made of iron, clear, tangible, unyielding. Today they are woven from something far more insidious: distraction, comfort, and illusion. The screen, the algorithm, the unceasing hum of entertainment, all lull the mind into a passive slumber. We no longer think, we consume. Ideas are not wrestled with, but scrolled past. Questions are no longer asked. Answers are delivered, pre-packaged, already digested. The death of the mind is not a single moment, but a slow decay, a descent into lethargy masked as progress. There was a time when the written word was sacred, when the pursuit of knowledge required effort, time, and sacrifice. Now knowledge is instant, but something has been lost. When something is easy to attain, we no longer value it. When something is given freely, we no longer fight for it. And so, we do not fight for our minds. We surrender them. Chapter 3. The Illusion of Knowledge. Never before has humanity held so much information at its fingertips. But knowledge without depth is but a mirage, a shimmering surface disguising an empty abyss beneath. Facts flood our minds, yet wisdom eludes us. We mistake access for understanding, accumulation for enlightenment. The death of the mind is a death by excess, a river of data that drowns discernment, an avalanche of voices that silence true thought. Consider this: a man who reads 1,000 books but understands none is no wiser than a man who has read nothing. A mind that consumes endlessly but never reflects is no greater than a mind that remains empty. True knowledge is not in the collection of words. It is in the digestion of meaning. Chapter 4. The Prison of Comfort. The greatest prison is not one with bars of steel, but one built of convenience. The mind, unchallenged, withers. The body, untested, decays. We have sacrificed struggle for ease, risk for security, and in doing so, we have dulled the blade of consciousness. We have forgotten that growth comes from friction, that the mind must be exercised like a muscle, stretched and torn so that it may become stronger. Without resistance, there is no evolution, only stagnation. Imagine a man who never moves. His body, once strong, weakens. His muscles waste away. Soon he cannot stand. The same is true of the mind. If it is not exercised, it will collapse under its own weight. And so, we must ask, how often do we challenge ourselves? How often do we embrace discomfort? If we do not, we are not living. We are merely existing. Chapter 5. The New Gods of Thought. Once ideas were forged in the crucible of debate, tempered by fire and conflict. Now they are dictated by the faceless entities that control the flow of information. Algorithms decide what is seen, what is known, what is real. The gods of old demanded sacrifice. The gods of today demand obedience. Think not for yourself, they whisper. We will think for you. Believe what we tell you. Feel what we direct you to feel. Speak the words we permit, and you will be safe. And so, the mind is buried beneath a quiet compliance. This is not a conspiracy. This is not fiction. It is the reality of our age. And it is happening now. Chapter 6. The Illusion of Freedom. The final trick of the dying mind is the illusion that it is still alive. We believe ourselves free because we are given choices, but choices crafted within invisible walls. We are allowed to speak, but only in ways that fit within the narrative. We are encouraged to express ourselves, but only through the templates provided. True freedom is dangerous. It is raw, unpredictable, uncontained, and so it is neutered, replaced with the sanitized illusion of thought, a cage made so comfortable that we no longer wish to leave. Chapter 7. The Path to Resurrection. But not all minds are lost. Not all thought is silenced. For as long as even a single soul resists, the ember of reason remains. The first step is to awaken, to recognize the chains, to see the walls of the prison. The second is to act. Read not to be entertained, but to be challenged. Speak not to be heard, but to seek truth. Create not for applause, but to pierce the veil of the ordinary. Struggle, strive, think, and defy. This is the rebellion of the mind against its own death. Conclusion. The eternal struggle. The battle for the mind is eternal. It has raged in the halls of Athens, in the monasteries of forgotten scholars, in the streets of revolution, and within the solitude of a single thinker against the world. And now, it rages within you. Will you awaken, or will you slumber? Will you think, or will you be thought for? Will you fight for the sovereignty of your mind, or will you let it slip into the abyss? The choice is yours. But know this, the mind does not die in a moment. It dies in silence, in compliance, in comfort. It dies when it is no longer willing to ask, why? And so, I leave you with this. One question, whispered through the corridors of time, asked by every great mind that ever lived. Are you truly awake?